Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another Westworld Season 4, Episode 4, After Show spoiler discussion. If you have not seen Westworld up until this point or seen Episode 4, highly recommend you go back, check it out, and come back to this discussion. I have here co-host here, Jedi Mike. What's going on, bro?
We are back. Westworld is back. Westworld's back.
Yeah, we might as well just get right down to the meat and potatoes of all this because honestly, I kind of was like, where are we going? In the first episode, in the second episode, I was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. Third episode, you got Bernard. Like, what is Bernard doing? How is he trying to pinpoint how the best way to save everybody? What is this weapon that he's talking about? Why does he need to go to the desert? And then we had this interesting dynamic with Caleb and Maeve. That there's definitely some tension there. There's definitely some connection there, some chemistry there. All to this episode that culminated fitting it all in a nice, perfect bow in episode 4.
Everything.
I
Like all your gripes for season 3, even in yes, like the season's not over, but what they accomplished in the first 4 episodes eradicated the entirety of season 3 for me.
dude,
Because again, the things they did in this episode is like the last two specifically. It's like they went back to the roots of what made this show great. They
right,
confused you, yet they gave you answers, payoffs, anticipation, and then the delivery and how they executed was top notch. And then to a point, you still have questions after you got a whole bunch of your questions answered, and again, it goes, it suspends your belief on what reality we're in, what time we're in, all this stuff. But again, to a point, it didn't seem convoluted because now it's like, all right. And then when they do it, it's like, oh my god, I was like, I don't
right.
know what what direction they're going now after this, but at least we have a path that's going on here. But like what they did to the roots, and I to a point I was quoting this show. I was quoting it right at the moment he said when Hale was talking to Aaron Paul. So like, what's going on here? What are we testing? Fidelity. I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, Jedi was watching this. He was like, "Man, this girl that's out here in the desert, man. What if?" I was like, "What are you talking about? What if? What are you talking about?" And he was like, "What if it's Caleb's daughter?" And I was like, he was right. So no, this episode was so dope, bro. Like all the different plot threads not only made sense, they added to each other. I mean, you go back to the flies, right? And we've seen flies since the beginning, but the way that they're utilizing flies and what we got in the third act of this with Caleb and his realization that not only everything that he was hoping would not be the reality has already happened, and him just having to deal with the shock of one, he died. Two, he's not even the original Caleb. Three,
Caleb,
he's in a world that is already succumbed to this darkness. Um,
23 years later.
later, yeah, like
So
that.
now it's been officially 30 years. Officially 30 years now from season 3. End of season 3. It's been officially 30 because it's 7 and then
Mhm.
it was 23. So now we officially are 30 years.
Which is crazy. But yeah, let's go to Maeve and Caleb. So this is the other thing about the show. Season 3, I felt like the acting performances were not there. Like I felt like the show was very convoluted in the story, but I also felt like they didn't the main actors didn't really sell me. Like for whatever reason, like they did in the first 2 seasons. Whereas this episode, they allowed Aaron Paul to act. They allowed, the actress to play the role of Maeve to act with her eyes, with her expression. Like when she went and started talking about, how she had thought about wanting to have a life with him, thought about wanting to allow him to kind of progress and stuff like that. And she was like, no, like mortality was something that came to her head. And the weird thing is how she prefaced it. She was like, I've only thought about initially just, a love with my daughter. And she never said specifically she had real true love for him, but that's what she implied. But she knew that he would age, that he deserved more, not this constant reminder of death that she is, which is fascinating because I never thought that she would, go that route with a character like this, but it makes so much sense. Their chemistry is off the charts because the whole entire time after the last episode, we know that your boy succumbed to the gosh darn flies, but we didn't know what that meant. Now I do have some questions here or there about the moment that he succumbed to that. What happened? Because I guess the way that I looked at it was this: that when he initially got shot the first time, on their mission, and she left him, he survived. He met the nurse. He got with the nurse. He had a baby. Maeve went away, but she couldn't really let him go. In her mind, she tried to reach out to see where he was. She found him, and then that immediately started all the trigger. But then they got led up to this moment where they're at here. He'd already been stabbed. He was already succumbing to the flies. And I guess he died while she was handcuffed. That's what my assumption is, that at that moment he died when Maeve died. And I think the very last thing he said is, I don't care what happens to me, but I'm not going to allow my daughter to grow up in a world where she's being controlled by you. And then they do something that's so Westworld. And I think that they have done something like this since William season 1,
Yes.
where they displace time. And the way they weave through time and his realization of what happened was masterful, because Aaron is a great actor when you let him. When you give him something to do, he will run with it. And they let him run with it, dude. And it's kind of like if you imagine like Captain America coming off of Captain America, the first Avenger, to Avengers, and waking up and seeing, like, this is a worst case scenario for Caleb though. Like, it's far worse.
Right.
But I
And
love
then,
it. I love
and
it.
yeah, not only that, that also show you that Bernard, he was in there for 30 years, not
Yep.
7, 30.
Yep.
Because at the end, here he is with his daughter. Which, by the way, I will say this though, I don't know how the younger daughter looks like, grows up to be that. That's just me, just understand like skin tone. I was like, I understand that's a mixed person, but I was just like, I I, I mean, I'm not gonna touch that, but I was like, is that a daughter? Because there was two people that looked like her. To me, it felt like or what's her name, Christine or Dolores.
Right.
Her roommate looked like the older version of his daughter.
I
Like
literally
looked
thought
like
that's what
it.
it was.
Like
That's what I was thinking the whole entire time, especially when she started talking about the flies and she started talking about her father, her parents, and then she
right.
eventually succumbed to the flies, which is still freaking
But that
weird.
would still be trippy, right?
But it makes sense now that that version of Dolores is probably in the same exact time
Time.
that Caleb is,
Mm,
because everybody there has already succumbed to the flies. And I think that that moment in talking about that leads you to believe that's where Caleb is, or this version of
mm-hmm.
Caleb is,
Yep.
which is sad because the real Caleb died. I think she said she tortured that man through 200 different variations of himself.
So basically, what it was that when she saw that when the flies did not work because he shot William. Then he's like, "How did you do that?" Right? He's like, "I have something worth fighting for." But then that whole narrative of like they came in, they shot him. That
Mm-hmm.
was a test subject. He said, we try to flies into you, but we know the brain for older adults has some way like of not working very well. So we had to go through different variations to get it. Children were easy, but yeah, older adults we had to get them something like that. So they went through different variations to get to that point. That
Mm-hmm.
took almost 30 years, right? And then here they are with the whole town, or I don't know if it's whole planet. I don't know. I don't know, but like the whole town, or it's now like welcome to my world. I don't know how grand this his whole thing is. Like it's the entire human race, like because 30 years. I'm like, hey, But again, that's what I thought. That's what they were doing. They were testing him over and over again to get it right. Just like they're doing Fidelity, what they did for William, the man in black. variant, or host Man in Black, which I think he might be straight up dead, possibly. He's they dug her up, but they didn't dug him up, or at least that's what we know. They still
Right.
got the original one in cryogenic state. So
Yeah. It's gonna be yeah, because she said she's just gonna recreate him, so it wasn't any sweat off of her back either way. Um, but dude, bro, like I actually really loved this episode. I didn't just think it was good or great. I thought I really actually loved it because even down to how they played out the whole Bernard situation or Arnold situation, I felt like that was just so fascinating. How we were kind of like, okay, why are they in the desert? And then we saw the explosion. It's like, wait, could the weapon be made? And it's funny because he could have told the girl up front, like, your dad's not here, but he didn't. I don't know why he didn't. I'm still assuming that he's still trying to play the odds. He's still trying to assess whether or not, this is this reality or this is the other reality. So it seems like everything's been falling into place just like he suspects it's going to be. Um, but I felt like he had to believe that Maeve was the answer to figuring out how to deal with this whole situation. Um, what that means, I have absolutely no idea. Um, but yeah, dude, like,
that's all. Like, I mean, at this point, I don't know what left we need to talk about then with Teddy and Christine. Just now that they're able to get a host to be in the real world now, and I guess he's trying to get her out. But and again, her name is Christine. She's not Dolores because we know Dolores is dead. You know,
mm-hmm,
which then that makes sense. 'Cause I'm like, okay, it can't be just 7 years. No, it was whole 30 years.
right,
So, man, I don't even know what the end game of this is now. Because Bernard, like, this is my. I still remember that line from season 2. It's gonna take both of us to see our species prosper, right? But not as allies and not as friends. You're gonna try to stop me, and in the end, both of us may die. But in the end, our people will endure. That was the line that Dolores told Bernard after when she brought him back, at the end of season 2, and I still remember that line. Like, that's how this show gonna end. Both of them are done, but then their people will endure. Like,
yeah,
that's how it was gonna end. And that's what she's saying. She told him that. But then is Bernard, I believe, knows the ending. All of
he
it.
does, he does,
All of it. Like, now I'm talking the end of this series. He knows it.
yeah,
Like, at this point, you've been in for 30 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
How many did this get greenlit for a fifth season, or do you
As
know
of right
when this ends?
as of right now, I don't know, but I believe they're gonna greenlit like season 5. And that's probably the last season, maybe. Like, usually the shows end at 5 seasons, maybe 6.
Yeah,
But I
especially
don't
on like a big HBO style. Like it's not like AMC or CW. Um, so
but I
yeah,
think we have to wait to this episode, or at the posting of this video, because I think this is what they need when this particular episode hits. After episode 5 and 6, I'm like, see the numbers. Like, I honestly believe that. Like, that's when, like, once they get through this episode, they're like, whoa, wait a minute, okay, we're back. You
right.
know,
Yeah, this is gonna be hard. It's gonna be a hard sell because there's so much television out there, and there's so many people that had issue with season three. This isn't like Stranger Things. Like season three of Stranger Things was okay.
okay,
You know, it was okay enough for
the
people like,
numbers
oh, I
were
want to
good.
see. Right.
Yeah, the numbers were good, so that he got the Stranger Things season 4, and then those numbers skyrocketed for that. For the
Right.
fourth one. But this,
It's not like you get everything all at once. You get it on a week to week basis, which already hurts it. You had a lot of ill will from the third season, very convoluted, not as polished. And then even how this opened with the first episode, some people may have turned off the series altogether
entirely,
after the first episode. If they didn't stay into the second episode at least,
man,
this would have been a hard sell, period. So
absolutely.
I pray that people watch for. I mean, us, we're gonna go and promote it. We're gonna let you guys know. I'm gonna go to social media and let people know. Like, look, wait for season for episode 4 and then make your judgment, because the way that episode 1 through 4 goes, I could forget everything that happened in season 3. I feel like whatever happened in season 3, it doesn't even really matter, honestly.
That's exactly, like, I don't, and I'll be very prefacing with saying, because when you get what you want, you tend to negate all this stuff. Like, okay, now I'm happy because I get nostalgia. That's not what this was.
Right.
This was like, okay, I stuck through the first 4 episodes, and even then, the first one we saw our anticipation. Okay, second episode, like, all right, confused, but I'm seeing all right. Third, all right, good. Okay, we're getting back to it. Fourth, and then look, you guys won't notice because this will be dropped when the episode drop. But like, I was like, hey, do you really want to watch this episode tonight? I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. And I'm like, I am so glad we watched this episode.
Yeah, this made a good night. This episode made for a good night. And the thing about it, even Dolores' story arc now makes sense. Whereas we had nothing. We had, like, the first 3 episodes, I had absolutely nothing. But now even the tower that she's seen, and what that probably is I feel like the satellite or the base receiver where everything is being dispersed out to control everybody. And I think that makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
I just don't know
how. It's like, there's not going to be a destroying the tower and then it's over, basically. Like, everyone's infected. So I'm thinking maybe like a smoke or something like that, kind of like, and when you inhale it, that it deactivates something or something like how like that. But like they did with Amazing Spider-Man when they shot something up in the sky and then it kind of dispersed, because they got to mix something. This is not like some type of like chip. This is organic material. Like, you know. But again, the tower is the base of it. But what I love was like that little device we saw, that sonic wave at that construction site, that was version 1, or I guess, of it, and then now we're to see 30 years later, and now it's the whole tower. But it's like, I was like, oh no, it's the same thing. It's just like it became the tower. So I'm like, yo, this is great.
Yeah, no, this was a good time. No alcohol required. I'm joking. This is awesome spectacular.
No, absolutely right.
Yeah, man. 10 out of 10 for me. This is the best episode so far of the season, and it's not just a great episode. It makes all the other episodes great because it makes sense. It makes everything make sense. It makes everything line up, which is weird because normally with like a Stranger Things situation, like the last 2 episodes are the thing that kind of like, oh wow, this is great kind of thing. Yeah. Where this is on the 4th episode, and I'm kind of like, where are we going? Where is this really going? Because I don't know. Right. I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know. So I don't have any other thoughts, man. You got anything else?
We're back.
This is a quick review. We're not muddling over it. I think we went through every stone. I just think that you guys, if you kind of watching this and you still haven't watched at anything at all, I would say go back and watch the first episode to this. Go ahead and do it. I think it'll be worth your time. It'll be worth your time if you're watching this. I can't wait to the next episode.
Me too. Can't wait.
I'm excited. So we'll talk to you guys later. Jedi Mike, where can everybody find you, dude?
You can find me on YouTube at Jedi Mike 7 Reviews, News, and Truth. Got a ton of content coming up there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Hit the notification bell, not only on my channel, but on this channel as well. I'll also be here as well. Peace.
Yes, sir. We are out, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. We have some interesting content coming for San Diego Comic-Con, as well as a new series coming to Amazon Prime called The Paper Girls. We'll talk to you about that later. Bye. Filing out the top of the I can see skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline.